our project is within 3 weeks of being finished, so we're in a different space than some of you. So our research project was, next slide, please. Yeah, before I start, I did want to do the land acknowledgement, and it's also one of our outcomes. So one of the things that we implemented throughout the WinSETT leadership program was our commitment to truth and reconciliation in a whole variety of different ways. This was one, and that was very powerful as we went through the program. Next slide, please. So WinSETT is the Canadian Centre for Women in Science, Engineering, Trades and Technology, and their vision is a world where women participate fully in science, engineering, trades and tech. And we are a federally incorporated not-for-profit in 2010 with a very active presence in Newfoundland and Labrador. Next slide. So what was our project? Our project was two things. First, to evaluate the impact of the leadership program on women in Newfoundland and Labrador who've taken it and their organizations. And second, whether the program could be made more effective and available to women in isolated and remote set workplaces through the delivery of online programming. And of course, the proposal was written in 2018. So it was, as I think Troy said, so timely, and we are so grateful for the support to do that online piece. We couldn't have envisioned with the incredible impact it was going to have on us as an organization. So that timing really worked out well. Next slide, please. Yeah, so we had major findings, of course, and we had 5 of them. So first of all, the evaluation showed that the program was very relevant to both employers and employees because it, addressed the inequity of women in the SETT field in the province. Providing online segments of the leadership program for both men and women did enable them to learn and grow about this whole field. Of course, the online was absolutely critical during the pandemic, and it will remain a new way of WinSETT doing business. Having a learner-focused website was absolutely critical to the navigating of what programs are being offered where, how do you register, what's it all about, those sorts of things. And then updating the in-person workshops and making them more accessible and inclusive will, when they're offered in person again, enable the programming to stay relevant. Next slide. So this is a quote from the evaluation of one of the participants who took the in-person leadership program. Next slide. So what was the impact on both the program, so that's us, and the participants? So we completed environmental and jurisdictional scans, and that really gave us a deep insight into our operating environment, which is really important for any organization. The evaluation gave us lots of data and recommendations for the future. Then we will continue to mine both the evaluation and the scans as we move forward. We had asked for funding to transition 5 online skill builders. We ended up being able to organize it so that we actually created 12. So we were delighted with that. And we nailed the process for it. So it became quite, I'm not going to say easy, but we had a proven process on how to convert in-person to online by the end of it. And the content for the 6 in-person leadership workshops was also updated. And finally, we have 10 facilitators across the country, and they were trained to do the development and the delivery of online content. On our participants, we had almost 240 participants in the online pilots, and they were all favorably evaluated. Lots of our partners were tapped from around the province, from IOC to Hydro to PEG&L. And participants committed to acting on each of the skill builders topics. So next slide, please. So this is, so we ran the online pilot, so you can see the topics there and the dates. So we ran them from August to April. And we had that was the last one. And so in total, 237 were registered for those. Next slide. At the end of each of the online sessions, we ask them what they'll do differently, because they're all evaluated. And this is some of the outputs of things, say they will do differently after the session. So those sorts of, that sort of feedback makes us feel that we are on point and moving this agenda. Next slide. Thank you. So you asked for what opportunities and recommendations we had. So the first one is the one I'm going to talk the most about, that the in our case, online programming needed to be as close to our in-person experience as possible. And so for us, that meant they had to be interactive, professionally facilitated. They had to have a high interpersonal level of interaction based on lived experience, and they had to be live. So nothing was ever recorded. They were small batch. It was maximum of 25 to 30 people per session. And we did that in order, to ensure safety of people, that people feel confident. We're talking about some very personal subjects. So people needed to feel safe. Also, one of the biggest impacts of our leadership program is removing that isolation. So, you're not the only one that feels this way. So you remove that feeling of it's just me. And that can only be done, in our experience with our work and our group, in that interactive way. So that was super important for us. So the other opportunities and recommendations, we would love to have wraparound supports. It would really deepen the impact of these, 90-minute sessions. So peer mentoring, coaching, networking, marketing, always going to be a challenge. How do we actually reach the people? And then, so the leadership program is primarily for women and the men who work with them in science, engineering, trades, and technology. But the ones who hire, manage, and employ women in SETT are also a place where we want to go. And training programs like ours, they need to be continually evolving. Next slide. This is going to be my last roundtable, so I just can't thank enough Sharon and Joanne and the whole crew for all of your ongoing support over the last 3 years. It's been really, really appreciated. The whole organization thanks you. And then next slide, final slide. And if you do want to get in touch with us, this is how you can learn more, and at winsett.ca. Thank you.